channel. So we are going to be repainting a doll today, and I wanted to work on a doll that I've been extremely excited to work on. I have a couple dolls in my stash where I'm like, oh my god, I want to like repaint that so bad, and this is one of them. It's a Duchess Swan doll. She's an Ever After High doll, and I haven't like worked on one of those in a while, so I just really wanted to. She's so stinking cute. Like, look at her original paint. So sassy, I love it. But yeah, we're just gonna be basically kind of shoving and smushing all of the things that I like aesthetically into this doll. I just wanted to kind of go all out with her. Not that I don't go all out with my repaints, but I just wanted to make her everything that I love in life with this doll. Does that make sense? She's gonna be real pink, basically. As per usual, I am cutting her hair about as close to the scalp as I can get it. Then we dunk her head in hot water for about a minute to 2 minutes. This is to loosen up the plastic of the head so that we can easily pop her head off her body. I would say if your doll's hair is like particularly nasty, like if it's real goopy, I would maybe let it soak for a little bit longer, just because if there's any like gigantic glue chunks in there, it'll like loosen them up a little bit more. By the way, I'm getting the hair plugs out with a screwdriver. I think that's a screwdriver. And then I am pulling the hair chunks out of the head with needle nose pliers. I use a heavy duty nail polish remover to get all the paint off her face. If you guys cannot find 100% acetone nail polish remover, I for some reason couldn't find it. I live in Kuwait at the moment, and like, yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere. You can get a heavy duty nail polish remover, and just basically means that it's like real nasty, and like do not recommend using it on your nails, but do recommend using it on dolls' faces. This doll has molded on eyes, which I actually really like. It just makes my life a lot easier. If y'all don't know, the later Ever After High dolls have, or a lot of the later After High dolls, it's not really a rule, but a lot of them have molded on eyes, and that just makes my life easier. The earlier ones kind of had like this flat eye area, which is good for certain scenarios, but I overall kind of prefer the later Ever After High dolls. A little bit. I change my mind like every other week. But anyway, we paint her scalp pink because we're going to be rerooting her. The hair I'm going to be using is in Baby Unicorn from the Doll Planet, and I didn't need hair like all the way down to her feet, so I cut the hank in half. My reroot tool is an X-Acto blade that I put a needle into. I cut like the top of the eye of the needle off, and then I basically just kind of loop the hair into the top and plunge that into the head. I begin the reroot at the hairline, and then I work my way towards the part. The part is the last place that I plug hair into. I, like pretty much everybody else on YouTube, use Faber glue to glue all my hair plugs into place. To control the doll's hair and like the part so that the hair lays exactly where I want it to, I wrapped a rubber band over her head, and then I poured boiling water on it to make all the hair lay flat. Now we're going to start the face up. So I spray the doll 3 times with Mr. Super Clear, and all of the products that I use for this face up will be listed down in the description box in case you guys are curious. But I always start with the eye shape, and in this doll's case I just follow the eye mold. You don't need to. You can do whatever eye shape you want, honestly. But with this doll I just followed the eye mold. With the first layer of Mr. Super Clear, I'm just kind of trying to fill in the basics. So I'm doing like the eyelid shape that I want, I'm filling in the irises with the color that I want, I'm dividing the lips, drawing a line there, and just kind of getting like the basic first layer done. When you guys can't like fill in any more pigment anywhere, that is when you should spray your doll again. I generally kind of spray my doll about like 6 or 7 times. It sort of depends on I don't know how I'm feeling that day. I think with this doll I did more coats than usual because I don't know, I was just really feeling repaintier. Sometimes I like go into repaints and I'm like, oh, I'm so nervous. I don't know why, because it's like just drawing, you know? But sometimes I go in so nervous, and with this doll I was just feeling pretty confident. And by the way, that is 6 layers after the initial 3. So I did 3 in the beginning, 6 while like adding details, and then 3 at the end. For the lips, I like to go in with pastels. I just like the like soft look of it. Some people go in with colored pencils, and if you want like a bold lip, that's a fantastic choice, but I generally like soft, kind of soft looking lips, and I clean it up with a kneaded eraser. Another personal favorite of mine is giving my dolls very like flushed faces, so I go ham with pink pastels all over the face. Initially for shading in the skin, I go in with browns, but as the layers build up, I'll go in with blue, purple, more tones of pink, cool tones of brown, warm tones of brown, just all sorts of colors, because your skin has multiple layers, and I feel like you can get a really effective like skin, like real skin looking look on dolls because the MSC has multiple different layers, so you're just building on top. And I feel like it kind of really mimics how skin actually is. If you guys are wondering what's going on with the eyes, I used different tones of like magenta, pink, green, because it goes along with the colors of the fabric that I'm going to be using for her dress. But you guys may have noticed that I occasionally reach for a Q-tip. A Q-tip is an excellent like blending and shading tool for watercolor pencils. In particular with dolls with pale skin, I really like going in with blues and purples because I feel like it almost makes their skin look transparent. I highlight around the face on like the brow bone, the under eyes, the chin, forehead, and I'm using white pastel to do this. It just really makes the face look more three-dimensional. I wanted to give this doll like lighter looking brows, so I gave her kind of lighter looking eyebrow hair because her hair is obviously light, but also because I wanted her face to have kind of like a softer look. Using a macro pearl pigment, I put that on like her forehead and her cheekbones because I just love the way it looks. Y'all, once you go like shiny pigment on dolls, you don't go back. It looks so good. I usually end up going around the eyes with a black watercolor pencil because I just like how defined it looks. If you wanted like a softer look, but you wanted to define the eyes, you could use like a dark brown or something, which I might try eventually, but right now I'm kind of like hooked on this. I've spoken about this several times, but I love adding veins around the doll's face. Call me creepy, I don't know. I put it on like the forehead, temples, brow bone, and it's basically just like branch-like pencil marks, and it looks like veins. Something I discovered with this doll is that if you take a Q-tip and black pastel or whatever color you want the pupil to be, and you just kind of like tap it into the middle of the eye, that'll give you a pigmented look with pastels. Something else you can do if you do this with pastels is if you use like kind of circular motions going outward, it'll give you like a blended pupil look that I think looks a little bit better than when I've used watercolor pencils. With a sharp white watercolor pencil, I do really quick pencil marks going from the limbal ring to the pupil of the eye. It just further highlights the eye, and I just really like the look of it. It's a kind of a thing that I found on Instagram that a lot of people do, and I like it, so I copied it. Another technique that I tried for the first time with this doll is the triangular bottom lashes. I've seen a lot of people on all sorts of social media do this technique, and at first I was like, I don't know if I like it, but I really like it. So yeah, I really like how that ended up turning out. Before going in with acrylic or watercolor or whatever you guys use to highlight areas, I've been using the watercolor pencils. I've been wetting my brush and going in with that for like eye highlights and stuff. I would highly recommend spraying your doll once or twice with MSC. That way, if you go in with paint and you don't like it, it's not permanent. You can just wipe it off because you have 2 layers of MSC protecting all the work underneath it. With a shimmery pink pigment, I tapped that on her lips. This does 2 things. One, it looks really pretty, and also if you do the lip wrinkles a little bit too intense, it kind of dulls them down. I glossed this doll's lips with Vallejo gloss varnish. I usually go in on the eyes, and I'm going to do that later. For photos though, if you put gloss in the eyes, it's really hard to photograph that, which I've kind of been coming to terms with lately. So I put the gloss on after I'm done taking photos of the doll. I originally wanted to braid this doll's hair on both sides and then pull it back, but the hair was like so slippery that I just couldn't get it to like hold anything. So I just ended up pulling the 2 sides of like the front hair back and then pinning it together with a little tiny bow. Something that's probably super repetitive for you guys is me sanding up the panties and carving off the seam lines. So I do this. I hate the panties, I hate the seam lines. I mention this in every video. I'll probably end up like cutting this part out in a couple of videos because it's just really repetitive. I do it with every single doll. Then I blush the body, and I'm basically using the same tones that I used on the face on the body. If you guys are kind of confused about blushing, you can look up, you know, naked people on Google. You can also just kind of concentrate the blushing around the joints of the doll, so the wrists, the arms, the elbows, shoulders, all that stuff. And once I got done blushing and spraying it, I put the hat back on. And here she is in all her detailed naked glory yet again. 2 accessories. So for accessories, I used this headband that I got from like a Madeline Hatter doll, and I have no idea where these shoes came from. So we're just going to be painting them with acrylic paint. So the first thing that I did was I put down black paint. This is to kind of get, like it makes the colors pop for some reason. When you put down black acrylic paint and then you put down colors on top of it, particularly colors if they're a little bit pastel-y toned, it just really makes the colors pop, more so than if I were to go in, like you could put pastel on top of red, I guess, but I prefer this method. I think it works better, honestly. But yeah, so I just went in with the tones that the dress are going to be, which is green for the headband, and pink for like the accents, and I basically kind of did the same thing with the shoes. Once I get done with the base coat, I go in and I start to emphasize all the little details on the shoes and the hairpiece. And this is what they look like once they're all done being painted. So I just emphasized all the details and kind of brought them out. Once I am done doing that, I take some Liquitex matte varnish and I just put a coat of that, or 2 coats actually, on the shoes and the headband. I wanted to add little like gems to the headband, so I took some super glue and I took, okay, so this like thing that I'm using for the rhinestones is a, what is it? It's a needle with like putty at the end, and I just grabbed the stones with that and then I push them down with a Q-tip, with a toothpick. I also made her a little choker out of a ribbon with a rhinestone on it, and I put 2 fasteners on the back. Now time for socks. So I've mentioned this before, I am not a seamstress, barely know what I'm doing. I wanted to give her socks in this like duochrome fabric, but I think for socks you need to use stretchy fabric, and this is not. So I basically made a tube and I like sewed it to her foot, and then I kind of cut it to the shape that I wanted and flipped it out, and you can't see her foot anyway because she's wearing shoes, so that's how we did like this sock look. This is how the dress turned out, by the way. I actually got this pattern from an Etsy seller. Her name is Requiem, or I don't know if it's a her actually, I have no idea. Their name is Requiem Arts, and it's the rococo lolita hime dress. Their instructions for this dress was like really detailed but like easy to follow, so I really recommend this seller's patterns. Like, it was easy for me, and I don't know what I'm doing, y'all know that, but I really did try with this dress. I hope you guys can tell. Put a little bit more effort into this doll than I know, well, not really, put a lot of effort into all my dolls, but I just love her, like, I really do. But let's look at her. Alright guys, drum roll please. That's supposed to be a drum roll. Here she is. I said here she is. Come on, big me. Okay, there she is. She's so cute, right? I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but this doll is kind of just like everything that I like aesthetically. Like, I just really wanted to create a doll that I loved because I've been really excited to repaint this specific doll, which is funny because I have like 70 dolls in my stock box. It's obscene in there. But yeah, she's just very pink, very mint, and everything I love in the world, and I hope you guys like her too. I haven't repainted an Ever After High doll in a minute, so that was really fun because I love painting Ever After High dolls. I kind of switch back and forth between like liking Monster High more than Ever After High, or liking Ever After High more, but I find when it comes to specifically Ever After High dolls with eye molds, I really like repainting them. And this was just one of the more positive repainting experiences that I've had lately. Every time that I repaint is a positive experience, but sometimes there's like some negatives with it. Like, for example, if my MSC is acting really weird, it'll be frustrating to repaint a doll, or if I'm like frustrated with a sewing thing, or if I'm just not being patient. Sometimes I'm just like, ugh, like I'm just impatient, you know? So yeah, everything about this doll was just a really positive experience, and I loved it. Like, I loved repainting her. And I'm going to show you guys the first Ever After High doll repaint that I did, and just all of the Ever After High doll repaints that I've done, because I feel like you can kind of see progress with it. Not like a ton of progress, but I feel like there is progress. Anyway guys, like this video if you like this video, subscribe, it makes me happy. Let me know what you guys think about this doll down below, and I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. Bye!